In this video, we'll be exploring the Sprite editor. So when we create ourselves a new project that's a 2D project, we need to specify in the Unity Hub that it is a 2D project. Other than setting us up in 2D mode, like it would do here, when we've created our project, it also adds in additional packages that are specific to the 2D workflow. Now when we're in Unity Hub here, it's easy to select from a template. So we select the 2D one here, or we select the 3D. There's very little in it other than the packages that are added into the package manager. So if we come out of Unity Hub and come back into our project, we can see we have some files already in the project folders, but I want to point out where these specific packages are found. So they're found inside the package manager. So come up to Window, come down here to Package Manager, and here we have all the packages that are currently in the project. I know that because this little icon here is selected. Sometimes we might open it up and we'll see Unity registering. Sometimes this can be a little bit overwhelming because it contains all of the different packages available to us in Unity. So just make sure you click on that, come into In Project, and here we can see there's a number of 2D, so the 2D animation, pixel, sprite editor, tile map. These sorts of things here are all included in the 2D workflow, but if you were to create it as a 3D project, you wouldn't get those included. So that's a real benefit of making sure you select the right template upon creation. So let's just close down the package manager. So one of the packages that are sort of included in there is where we can create sprites. So that is the sprite editor. So what we want to do is come into our assets that are inside of our project, and we want to come into the sprites folder. So here we have the sprites folder, and we have 3 different Viking characters. If we click on them here, we can see they've got little arrows next to them. This relates to the data type they're currently set in. So if I click on the Viking black here, you can see in the inspector up here, the texture type has already been set over to Sprite for us. Now that's a good thing because that means it's in the correct mode for us to be able to access the Sprite editor. Sprite editor, if we come down a little bit further, is here underneath this button. Now if I just switch over the texture type, just say, okay, I bring in a JPEG or a PNG, generally that'll come in as a defaulted image. Now if I click on default here and I click apply, we can see how the little arrow is now missing from off of our sprite, and also the transparency is lost. So that's the real benefit of why we bring it in and we switch it over to the sprite mode. So you shouldn't need to do that, but if you do, that's what's the difference when you look inside your project window. You can see the differences between them all. So I'm just going to turn that back onto sprite mode. Make sure we click apply any changes we make in there. And now we can see that it's now returned back to where it was. Now just focusing on the information in the inspector here, it says sprite mode, and then it lists a few different options available to us. So we have single sprite mode, which it currently is in right now. We have something called multiple and something called polygon. So click on multiple, make sure we select on apply. You can see again now the arrow has disappeared, but now our transparency still remains. Now this is a good thing, as we'll get to shortly. If we go on to polygon, again click on it, click apply, and now it returns back to what it was, but it sort of pushes it out a little bit because of the mode, the polygon mode instead of a rectangular mode. So it makes it a little bit wider, which distorts the sprite completely, which is not what we want in this instance, although if you were using different assets, perhaps that would be what you want. So I'm just going to switch it back over to single for now. I'm just going to hit apply. Now you'll notice each time that we change this mode, some of these settings underneath update. So hitting on the Sprite Editor button will bring up the Sprite Editor window. This is a separate window, which we can dock on a different screen or just leave as a floating window. I'm going to start looking at how to split sprites in the next video.